thinking behind that. So that's we thought that we'll divide this into broadly two parts. So today's session is on that part. So we do have the PPT, but what I'll do is I'll just spend maybe 10 minutes to just quickly show you the work that we do, and then I'll let Dr. Mauthu introduce himself and we get started. So if you come to our website, when you come here, you will some of you may have visited our website, but this essentially and I'll just give you my background. So I come from a very long IT background. So I am not from an HR or psychology background. I was a hardcore computer engineer. I worked in US for many years, and then I came back and joined Wipro. And while at Wipro, I had got our chairman's award, Azim Premji's award, two times, and that award was given to few people, and we were asked to go and speak in the leadership program. What are your best practices? So I was the best people manager, and I spoke so much that one day I got into the leadership department within Wipro. And my journey has been like almost 17 years now. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is that when I first moved from business to L&D, I said that no human transformation really happens overnight. It takes longer time, and hence you will see a lot of journey approach. You will see leadership across levels, and when you go to our site, you will see a very interesting way to look at leadership development. While and you will in our website you will see like almost everything that an L&D company would need. So starting with this, if you see this, there is two access to this. One is the journey of the organization, and other is the success of the organization. So we hire people from all over the country or world, and everybody comes with their own experiences. And you see that there is a certain culture that gets created, and you still get results. But when we do an intervention with a client, we look at their mindset, look at their immunity to change, and try to bring in some alignment in their thinking pattern and create an aligned culture that gives you a much more higher goal result than if you were not to do that. Now, if you look at any organization, you would need three things. You would need customers, you would need talent, you would need execution. So we have got like all these interventions on, how do you do consultative selling? How do you grow your existing accounts? How do you negotiate? And how do you systematically develop talent? So we have got programs on, humble inquiry, engagement, career conversation. If you look at execution, how do you build trust with your stakeholders? How do you take ownership? How do you collaborate with a central purpose? And to do that, we have all these arrangements of classroom, supervisor involvement, case studies, action learning. So take your time to look at all this. And the way it runs is that every company you can broadly divide into four parts. So senior, mid, associate, and campus hires. And you can we have programs for all these levels. So essentially, this framework tells you that you can cover the entire organization with four facets of leadership. Self is how does the leader manage his communication, his emotions? How does he manage his team? How does he delegate? How does he inspire them? Operationally, his understanding of business, and organizationally, his understanding his influencing and collaboration capability. So the participant comes out with a very holistic way of thinking. And the way it is run is that every month we have workshop, and we have a dedicated mentor, and the mentor works with them to apply it in real life. Then we invite the leaders to come and talk to them. We do the review with them. And the same philosophy is with Tiny Magic, which Dr. Mathur represents. So they also believe in not just doing a one-off program. So in AI also, and Dr. Mathur will talk more about it. So take a look at the work that we are doing. You will get good insight about, and even for an L&D professional, you will start seeing how detailing we have done here in terms of how does the transformation really happen. So while today's topic is AI, but I really urge you all to go and see this. It's a very methodical way of bringing transformation. So the pockets of AI will still fit into this framework. So take a look at it as in fellow AI, fellow L&D. You will find a lot of insight in the way we have crafted, like what happens after the journey, how do we build content, how do you do virtual delivery. So lots and lots of stuff here. You can see and look at details here. If you want to also see some of our earlier webinars, so you can go and go to the last tab on the website, called the Buzz, and in the Buzz you will see all the webinars that we have done in the past, very nicely listed here. So if you go down here, you can see all the past webinars. And this Leadership Chaska is basically a just an acronym for Crossover Hosted Association for Skills and Knowledge Advancement, but in Hindi it is also Chaska, meaning addiction of learning and development. So that was the idea of this. So you can take a look at all these past webinars whenever you want to take a look at it. Yeah. So I think this was just the brief about the company, and Tiny Magic, I said, is one of our very long partners. So we've been working together for last, I think, 10 years now. So it's a great partnership. So yeah. So hi Tina, welcome. Yeah. So Dr. Mothu, I just want you to maybe introduce yourself, and maybe we can just get the conversation started. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you very much, Yogesh.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm seeing leaders L&D from L&D logging in from different cities. We
Yeah.
heard Hyderabad, Bangalore, Mumbai, Chennai,
Yeah.
Kolkata.
Yeah.
We also have from the US as well.
Yes. Yes.
Looking at the representation, I think it's a very healthy representation across different verticals. So
Yeah.
that's going to make the conversation even more richer.
Yeah.
So absolutely thrilled with the opportunity given presented to me and to Tiny Magic Innovations to
Yeah.
participate in this highly regarded webinar, honestly, Yogesh, and talk to this amazing team of L&D leaders who
Yeah.
are shaping and deciding how rapidly organizations can embrace AI.
Yeah.
And the key word here is translate them into real business benefits. I think,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you for what you're doing already.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you once again, Yogesh, for the long-standing partnership, we have with Crossover.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
So
So,
about
so
myself, I think you've been very kind to call me an expert, but I consider myself as a lifelong learner and an Imagineer. Imagineer is a term, which Disney uses, but we kind of use it very intensely within Tiny Magic. So talking about myself, very briefly, I have a varied background. I've worked with innovative and disruptive brands like Microsoft, Oracle, and Hitachi Systems in various roles across different geographies for almost 2 decades. I also had my startup stint. We founded a global sales management consulting based out of Singapore called Linkbus. And currently, I represent Tiny Magic Innovations as the Senior Vice President and Chief Customer Success Officer. Okay, the interesting part is as a side hustle, I also have a PhD in yoga and pressure point therapy. I also have an MS in energy healing, and I'm also a trained manuscriptologist. I also enjoy my organic farming. So that's about me.
so
Yeah.
that, yeah, I think you can clap. So these are virtual clap, I think. So this is a very nice way to clap. You can do that, yeah. So if you are like really in Chennai and want to get your pressure thing done, then use the pressure point from.
Yeah, for
So
people
yeah.
in Chennai, you might be able to relate to this word. Pressure point therapy is an English term which we use, but in Tamil it's called Varmam. So
Mm.
it's originated from down south. Yeah,
Mm.
and it is like dated back to be 5,000 years old. So
Yes.
the reason why I'm highlighting that is Varma is supposed to be Marma. People don't really, show you what to do. But on the contrary, PhD is all about, showing everything, writing articles. So I did my first PhD in that area. Yeah.
Okay, okay,
Back to
awesome.
you, Yogesh.
Super,
Yeah.
super. Very nice. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah. And as always, I think if you have attended our earlier webinar, it is not so much about giving major gyan to you. We are also like you trying to learn, and many a
Yes.
times just that the webinar pushes us to do work for you so that you get some value in the conversation. So we benefit from that. I mean, I must tell you that the presentation that Navneet, me, and Dr. Mauthu has prepared, we would not have done that if we had not done this webinar. So
Yeah.
in a way to get some josh in us, and I think for you guys also, when you have come here, you will take back some josh, to do that. So as LND, I think we have to have double josh all the time. So no matter how what we are going through, I think when you come in front of the class or in front of the business, I think you have to show that positivity in whatever is happening. Although inside there could be a lot of pressure point, which we and Mathu manage very beautifully. So I'll
Mhm.
start off by, talking about, how, LND AI is transforming LND. So I think the first thing that you see is that, many a times it was like an event-based journey. And even today, when you look at the mindset, we still actually carry the mindset of event, meaning there is a program, there is a module, there is a topic, there is an audience, there is a requirement. But I think as we look at more and more, I think it will start moving from event to continuous. And I can very rapidly see a lot of my clients coming back with that model. One of the very large IT companies, we've been working with them for like last 5 years. And just, I mean, it was so incidental that today I had this webinar and today afternoon I was having a chat with them and we were exploring that the old model where we did the whole 1 day workshop. They said that how can we use AI to, get these people to, come back with some groundwork, and then you do a certain amount of conversation, and literally the same thing is happening, in all the places. And at some point I think, we would go and do some research and come back with some material, some model like the CLM, or CL, Clauso leadership model, but it's no longer that. I think it's the learning material is coming from the real work, and Gen AI keeps learning every day from all of us. So, you don't need separate learning material. Your work itself becomes a learning material for all of us, which is very different because it's very difficult for us to imagine that way, and we will soon talk about this as Dr. Muthu takes up the next slide and personalized at scale. So you would have heard, from our businesses, from our clients that, can you do this for this particular group or this participant? And we had real difficulty on, customizing the content or personalizing it. And now it is like absolutely possible, and when I sometimes, do my work every day and I see how AI remembers that I had this client that I had done, and then it kind of reminds me that would you like to do that, and it is so personalized. So earlier that even if we had the intention, it was very difficult to do that because it was just impossible for our bandwidth, for our own thinking to think about that in today's, no, like that. So essentially the last step here is that we move from, creating a course to really looking at how do we build capability in the organization, and even, I would say that single L&D person can actually become a very big source using, AI as the medium for us to get there, and which earlier was just not possible to do that, so with this, like a very high level background of how AI is really, moving forward, I will request Dr. Mothi has given some interesting slide to me, so I'm going to. So, Doctor, should I put the slide first, or do you want to say something? Yeah, you're on mute. Yeah, yeah. Just try to unmute. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. I just have to take a couple of minutes and talk about Tiny Magic Innovations.
Yes, please, please,
Few
please.
minutes,
Yeah,
yeah.
very good
Thank you.
idea. Yeah, we can do that. Then you tell me whenever to move the slide.
Yes,
Yeah.
please. Yes. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you once again
Yeah.
for setting the context
Yes,
brilliantly.
yes, definitely. Yeah, that's very important because they should know the background of Tiny
Failure. Because
Doctor.
I think I spoke more about yoga and pressure point therapy, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
the context, I want to know that,
Yes,
where we are coming from.
yes,
So
yes.
we are a few uniquely talented sets of industry veterans, is how we would like to call, who
Yeah,
spent decades in the areas of architecture, design thinking, performance management,
yeah,
frugal and disruptive innovation, security, and complex software program and project management. So we are like a dozen people, and the average experience is like 27 years. And we have come together under Tiny Magic Innovations to solve the most stubborn business problems using disruptive and innovative principles by sharing our expertise through apply and learn. So here, typically we talk of learn and apply. We have flipped that model in the framework. So we do apply and learn, leveraging generative AI. So that's what we're going to be talking more today. And so largely, if working with customers, what we get to understand is many of us are investing heavily in generative AI, but we are still not able to move the needle in the right stated direction. And also, the solutions what is being created might not necessarily be game changing. It could be day-to-day AI as well. And most of the times, we are not very sure whether it is touching business outcomes. So at Tiny Magic Innovations, we focus on this exact problem by building AI fluency. I'll talk about it a little later, and also by breaking AI inertia. So we do this by using a patent pending methodology called Imagineering at warp speed. So that's what we stand for. So what we do when we work with our customers, we work with a stubborn business problem. So we start from there. So one or two high value business problems, not cool technology ideas. It's real world business problems in your work streams. And then we create a small joint cross-functional team, which we call as pods amongst your people, and deliver working solutions as limited production softwares in weeks, not in quarters, mentored by highly experienced senior leaders through apply and learn. So that's what we do. And what this leaves us, within your organization is your teams learn how to design, build, and run Gen AI tools, the mindset, and will be completely independent and will be able to use AI as a companion to bring in delta productivity in their work stream. So that's what we do. So the key aspect here is we leave you with a limited production software, working piece of software, which we had solved, starting with your stubborn business problem. So that's what who we are. Yeah. So Yogesh, if you could.
Yeah, yeah, very nice. Yeah, I mean, so I mean, and it is in a way putting your neck on the block, because you are
Exactly.
actually getting into an area because you're not very sure. And other thing I think also I have seen, Dr. Mautre, is that it is trying to break the inertia in the organization.
Yes.
It is trying to bring in the fluency, because all said and done, people have their own worries. Whether I would be able to do that, not do that. Do I need a lot of technology background? And with this one initiative, people start to get that confidence in
Yes.
how they can do that. Yeah. So there is a very trick picture that
Slide.
Dr. Mothu is going to show. So should I show the picture, Dr. Mothu, to them?
Yes, yes, please, Yogesh.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll just show the picture and whatever you want to ask them.
So basically, we are doing a very slide light session. And I'm going to, ask you to look at this chair. And I'm sure we are all looking at this.
Yes.
How many of you believe that this chair has power over us? Yeah, I'm sure all of us think the chair doesn't have power over us. It's a material thing, and we believe that it can't influence us. But the surprising fact is, it looks so ordinary, but it has power over us. I'll tell you why. It makes us to sit in a certain way. It makes us to keep our elbow in a particular fashion. Maybe the posture is good, or maybe not. The chair doesn't really care, but we comply without even thinking about it. This, my friends, is what technology is all about. Yeah, I just wanted to start here because we believe technology is something, which is very different. But technology is all powerful by the time, whether we like it, we don't like it, it enforces itself on us completely. So that's one example which I wanted to talk about because it quietly shapes our behavior and fully transforms us. Yeah. So, and the second slide. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So this is again the bicycle. I just wanted to talk about this. Okay. So all of us know this is a bicycle. And do you think again, does this have any power over us? I'm sure now all of us will say yes. Okay. So what power does it have? It doesn't tell us how to sit here, but it changes how we move. It makes us move faster and it also makes the process easier from getting from point A to point B. That's what a bicycle essentially does. It overlays its structure on our lives and we adapt to it without any questions. Has anybody questioned the bicycle? All of us very quietly and comfortably, embraced it. Yeah. Okay. So we see
Mm,
value. The reason we embraced it was because we see value and we see efficiency, the same value which has been driving us throughout history. Okay. So the crux of technology by itself is nothing but efficiency. Okay. So that's what history has taught us. It's never neutral. There is always a trade-off. Yeah. So technology doesn't just give us tools, it teaches us who to be, what to do. Very important. These examples again of the chair and the bicycle shows us that efficiency comes to us with power. So efficiency gives us power as well, but it hides choice.
mm,
It doesn't give us a choice, very clear choice about what or who we are and optimizing for. These are three things which we all do in our roles. We know who we are, we know what we are doing, but the question is, what are we optimizing for? So technology hides that from us.
mm,
When something becomes efficient, it doesn't make life easier alone. It also decides how we act, like how we saw in the example of the chair and the bicycle. What we value and which options quietly disappear. Yeah.
mm,
Efficiency, ladies and gentlemen, shapes our behavior, and that's real power. Okay, so in this context of these examples, I wanted to state that generative AI per se, is upon us already,
mm,
delivering unimaginable efficiency, and it also gives us tremendous power to adapt and shape destiny as we understand, learn, and apply it. Are we good till here?
yes. You can ask people any thoughts, any
Yeah.
questions, or what are
We
they?
can make it interactive. I think Yogesh made a
Yeah,
very
yeah, yeah.
point. Just because we are the sage on the stage doesn't mean that we have answers for everything.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I think
So
you can.
you could feel free to share your thoughts if you have any. Otherwise, we can move on, please.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe we can take a pause for any questions after the machine to machine that slide, and after this, the next
Oh,
was.
this is also an interesting slide. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we are again now flipping into we spoke about AI, and we also saw examples saying that technology brings in efficiency, efficiency gives us power, and it also hides a few things from us. So we are using AI everywhere, and some of the examples could be recruiters use it to proactively screen and get sharper insights on CVs. And so is the case with people who are also job seekers, right? It works both ways. And the doctors use AI for getting expert opinion on scans and x-rays. Teachers use AI to encourage curiosity in the young minds. So this goes on and on. And generative AI is here and it is not going away anytime sooner. Okay, so ChatGPT was launched early December 2020. I am sure many of us will remember that. It was like, during the COVID times. Any guesses how many days or what was the time it took for ChatGPT to reach 100 million users? Any
People
guesses?
can, yeah, people can chat their
Ah.
responses on the chat actually. Yeah. So just the
I think
question
it
again
was
have
7 days.
to
Yes,
7 days.
in fact, okay, so 1 million was, you're right, but this is 100 million.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Deep Darshan says 10 days actually.
10 days. Oh, okay. Not so
Okay.
fast.
Satish says 1 month.
1 month. Yeah, we're getting closer.
Mhm.
Okay,
Was
so
it
it basically
1 month?
Yeah.
it took 5 days to reach
Mm.
million users and 2 months to reach 100 million users. Look
Mm.
at the
Okay.
power. And before that, Instagram took 2.5 years to reach 100 million users, and Facebook took 4.5 years. And we're talking about 2 months here. Okay,
Mm.
so again, this is just to go back and highlight the thought that, this technology is upon us and it is not going to go away any sooner. We can't wish it away. And by the way, the standard telephone took 75 years.
Yes.
So these are the changing times, we are operating upon.
So, Dr. Mota, on this slide, you are saying that using Gen AI, the last piece, right? Meaning anybody can create any application and anybody can use it, is what the
Absolutely,
mindset
yes.
shift
Yes.
has to happen.
Yes. So I'm going to talk about it in a little more detail with few examples, Yogesh.
Yes,
So
yes.
what we are saying is, okay, so AI is not only about how to use it, it's also
Hmm.
about preparing and learning the risks of using it. It's,
Hmm.
it's both ways. It's like fire or a sharp knife. It's
Hmm.
something similar. Okay, there's no
Hmm.
point going back and blaming the fire or a sharper knife. So AI is like that. AI can do phenomenal things. It's
Hmm.
becoming core to our lives and becoming more and more ubiquitous. It's prevalent. I don't think there's any industry, which has not been touched by AI.
Hmm.
So I'll talk about why I'm saying this with an example.
Yes.
We can take email as an example.
Hmm.
Okay. Email changed the way in which humans were communicating.
Hmm.
It was absolutely disruptive because it quickly replaced snail mails and speed posts and whatnot,
Hmm.
couriers and everything. They had to reinvent themselves or they just vanished.
Yes.
But also, it had its share of risks of bringing down entire organization systems through if you click on a malicious attachment or if somebody is sending you viruses, so that there was
Hmm.
always a threat. But
Hmm.
organizations did not focus on the threat.
Hmm.
Organizations focused on the productivity aspect of what email as a technology
Hmm.
gave as efficiency and embraced it.
Hmm.
Okay, so that's the point I was trying to make here. Okay, so coming to this particular slide of democratization of technology.
Hmm.
So a brief definition of democratization of technology is, more and more people will have access to the technology. So that's what it essentially means. Okay,
Hmm.
so let's understand what it really means from another example. We can
Yes.
take printing. When humans, as cavemen or Neanderthals, we used cave drawings, we used animal skins to communicate and preserve their thoughts. Okay, from there it went on to palm leaves, rock engraving, and manuscripts. And these work was done by highly specialized monks. When paper was invented, it slowly was used by more people. So democratization is slowly, is becoming more permeable. And when the printing press came by, it was invented in the 15th century. The usage actually increased and books became more affordable. And then we had the advent of typewriters in the
Hmm.
19th century, which completely changed the game because we could create documents at scale. It was cheaper. And what it did was it was a required skill. And all workplaces were asking for secretarial skills, and it was made essential.
Hmm.
And we had digital technology which disrupted that. Okay, with word processing and desktop publishing, so it again created an army of people which built those skills and thrived.
Hmm.
So these shifts are true for all industries and verticals. And what I'm trying to lead you with this message is it is about how we have embraced technology through its evolution. By learning and applying, the jobs continue to disappear for people
Hmm.
who could not embrace the new because it needed new sets of skills to thrive in the current world order. Okay, so sorry, I sounded more like it was like a sermon, but that's the hard-hitting fact.
Hmm. Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so coming to what this slide is telling us very specifically is technology was in three parts. We can understand technology. It was created by specialists, used by specialists at one point. It was created by specialists, used by everyone. And the third aspect is created by everyone, used by everyone. Okay. So we will see few examples of what it means. Okay, so if you look at created by specialists and used by specialists, it is AI as a niche skill. From L&D, we used to focus on the technical top 10%, data scientists and engineers in our
Mm.
organizations. L&D was acting as a finder of the business needs. AI and L&D was primarily, trying to get external vendors or specialists to fulfill that particular need. For the rest of the workforce, the goal is merely awareness. You run lunch and learns just to explain what AI is, so people aren't afraid of it. So what really happens here is we weren't teaching skills, we were just managing change. So that's
Mm.
the first part. So we teach them it exists when it was created by specialists and used by specialists. So what happens when it was created by specialists and used by everyone? So we call that the consumer era.
Mm.
AI becomes a core competency. Everyone from HR to sales, right through the organization, today uses ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok, whatever, in whatever format. L&D today acts as a distributor. The goal is AI fluency at scale. We are creating massive upskilling programs. We are ensuring everyone is using the tool safely and efficiently. The curriculum, what we are trying to get into the organization is best practices and ethics.
Mm.
Okay, so we are teaching people how to be better consumers of a product someone else have built. So this is a consumer era which is created by specialists, used by everyone. So what we are talking about is created by everyone, used by everyone. So this is where we call this as a citizen developer. And this is the holy grail, which most of us are interested to know. Technology, we believe, is no longer a separate tool. L&D here acts as a coach or a facilitator. Instead of teaching people how to use a tool, AI as a tool, we teach them how to build their own performance support, like how using AI as a companion. We move away from courses and we focus on real-time learnings. For example, at Tiny Magic, we do this initiative called Vibathons, which is hackathon, but for non-technical and technical people, not focusing on the code, but on the business idea and the outcomes. So we teach employees to build their own custom GPTs or gems if you're doing it in Gemini, and automate their work stream. So they themselves will be able to understand how they can bring in delta productivity. So essentially, this is about how AI can be a companion for you. So that's the slide which I wanted to talk about.
Sure, sure, sure.
Yeah. Yes.
So this one is you, Dr. Muthu, wanted to also talk about, how we are looking
Yeah.
from machine to machine, machine to
Okay.
human, human to human, and human to machine.
All right. Okay. So what we are seeing is organizations are paralyzed by choice today. There's so many, tools which are available out there, and there are so many programs which are talking about how to build AI fluency. So we call that as AI inertia. So the most important thing today, for L&D or for any other function, is agility. Only agility can be used to break AI inertia because it forces real-time evolution. So it's not about planning a training calendar, for next quarter. It's about what your teams need to know. I'm just highlighting this for effect by next Tuesday. Okay,
Yes.
so agility is going to be the name of the game. And to talk about this, let's look at four learning pathways, how an organization learns. So we call it machine to machine learning, the first path. In its simplest form, the definition of machine to machine learning is when systems exchange data, identify patterns, and optimizes their performance without any direct human intervention.
Mm.
Okay, so that's machine to machine learning. So before generative AI, machine to machine learning was very rigid. And taking an example, if you had an AC, it had a thermostat, and if you set it up at a particular degree, when it comes there, it cuts off, which is brilliant. but it did not solve a problem because we still have to wake up and then try and reset. Now we have generative AI, which has moved from linear logic to non-linear logic, or neural networks as we call. Okay, so that is a change which we are talking from machine to machine learning, which is happening in organizations. And if you look at how this is being embraced globally, I can take Google as an example. So Google DeepMind applies AI to cooling the data centers. So the AI learns and then applies, and the reduction what Google has seen in their environment is 40%, because Gen AI was able to analyze data from sensors and there was no human intervention, and it was able to reduce. So another example which we can also think about is closer to us, it's Zomato. I'm sure all of us use this service to order food. So if you look at the logistic engine, when you order food, it's just about routing alone. The algorithms are learning from traffic. It's integrated. It understands weather. It understands how much time meal prep time is, and it optimizes delivery slots. And all of this, interestingly, you don't have the dispatcher involved at all.
Hmm.
Yeah. Are we good till here?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah. So
So
this
this
is
slide, Dr. Motto, is like from an L&D perspective, you are saying that how much as we prepare ourselves for the organization, how much
Hmm.
some of these concepts has to be kept in the background when we are,
Hmm.
using AI for as an L&D group for our organization's development.
Yes.
Sure.
Okay. Okay. So I'm just answering that question in a bit, Yogesh. So I'm just
Yes,
going to go to the next pathway. I wanted to cover how this
sure,
organization learning works
sure,
to lay out the construct, and then take your question and answer that, if
sure,
it's
sure,
all right.
sure.
Yeah. Okay. So if you look at the next learning pathway, it's machine to human. So machine to human, I think we already saw. It's like sage on the stage, right? So knowledge was centralized. A teacher delivered, facts, and the student accepted them as truth. Communication was strictly one way. So we've come through that as well. And then so what we did was we adopted to it, and learning happened as a one-way street. So next came the LMS era. So what did we do? We digitized the classroom, but we didn't change the model. It was still delivery focused. Watching a video is the same as listening to a lecture. It reduced travel, but it remained passive. The LMS did not actually know you. It only knew if you click play. Okay, and we had huge MOOC. I'm sure all of us are aware of these MOOC models. They came and disrupted that particular point in time learning. So the next, currently we are talking about the generative AI era, where the dynamic is completely changed. It's flipped. The learner is now the teacher of their own syllabus. So why I'm saying this? Instead of waiting for a course on, for example, dispute resolution, somebody in your team, in your organization wanted to do dispute resolution, a learner today can go to the AI and then say, I am a mediator with more context. How do I handle this specific conflict efficiently? So the AI, in this case, it can be an agent, adapts its tone, explaining finance and negotiation concepts simply to a software engineer, different depending on the role, right? It's no longer content delivery alone. So he's learning, situational leadership, if I could use that word, around dispute resolution. And he gets an opportunity to practice it multiple number of times before even he gets in front of people where he has to do this. So we have moved from, so what did this do? We have moved from static consumption and we have moved to active simulation. Yeah, you're all with me till here?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And we can again look at a few examples, right? We can look at some examples closer. For example, I'm sure many of you would be using Coursera. So Coursera has launched something called as a coach, a Gen AI tutor, that turns every static course into a Socratic dialogue. It doesn't give you answers directly. It will force you to learn and explain its logic. So Socratic, principles of learning goes by that. It challenges you. Okay, so that is already happening as we are speaking. And if you look at again upgrad is integrating AI to grade subjective assignments, providing what this does is it gives you deep cognitive feedback and on why your answer was weak. Currently, if you have to do that, it's not that straightforward. It requires humongous amount of human time. Okay, so that is now we are able to do it at warp speed, using AI agents. And okay, so I'll also talk about how this is landing in, for example, in a banking industry. Okay, so we have frontline banking staff, for example, a relationship manager, and there is a HNI who's walking in. He has been, he didn't like the way in which the bank has treated him. So he's very angry. He's walking in and he knows, HNI is when you're walking in, you there is time. So what happens before the relationship manager meets the HNI? He can do a practice conversation with the AI. The AI scores his responses. For example, it says you interrupt the client 3 times or your tone was defensive. So what happens here is it builds reflex without any damage to the bank's reputation. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. And very quickly to human. So the question I'm sure which is running in most of our minds is if machines are doing everything, what are humans going to do now? So it's actually quite the opposite because human to human interaction is becoming more premium. But generative AI acts as a matchmaker that makes our connections more valuable. If you look at it historically, mentorship was serendipitous. You learned from whoever sat near you. We had mentorship programs and matching mentors
Mm.
with mentees. All of that was synchronous and unscalable. So if you wanted to learn from the best negotiator in the company, you really had to hope
Mm.
that you would be able to meet him and impress him so that he can teach you a few things. So I also wanted to talk about a specific example from this part of the world, right? So all of us know that the world's best archer. Any guesses who it will be? This part of our side of the world. Who is the world's best archer? It can be a mythical character also. Except for the name, I've given enough clues.
Arjun?
Yeah, there you go. Uday, absolutely. So Arjuna was the world's best archer. And any reason why?
Because of his focus.
Yeah,
Yes.
we always take credit for ourselves, right? Because he had a guru like Dronacharya. I'm sure all of us agree to it, right? So today with generative AI, you can technically have a Dronacharya sitting with each of your team member in your organization, teaching them Socratic principles of learning. Earlier, even before generative AI, thinking of that kind of a scale at which you can bring a Dronacharya to your desk or Einstein to your desk was impossible. It was very prohibitive
Mm.
in terms of expenses. But generative AI gives us that opportunity. Okay, I just wanted to highlight that part. And what this does, how does it do it, is because it's flipping the conversation from being synchronous to asynchronous, from linear to non-linear. Okay, how are you doing it? Let's say, somebody in your organization is working on supply chain, and he or she has got something in terms of query. He would like to understand how this particular problem was solved. Okay, but you have experts in your organization, but there is no way to understand, who is the expert. So here you will be able to use the ultimate decentralization of intelligence. So I'll try and break this down further. Today you have multiple tools. We use Slack, we use Jira, Teams, we use mails. So using this, we are able to, AI is able to understand, who is able to contribute or talk about a particular skill set with proficiency you can grade. And those are the set of people. And next time a query like this comes up, AI is able to connect who has the query with the person who has solved it within your organization. So this is tribal knowledge. Earlier it was tribal knowledge, and now tribal knowledge is decentralized and is available for everybody. Okay, so and the example here is TCS is already using this to collapse these silo mentalities, working in verticals or horizontals, right? Today, their internal systems can identify niche experts across close to 6 lakh people they employ and connect them to project teams instantly for just-in-time human consulting. I think this is very disruptive. Okay. Yeah. So, and the last pathway is human to machine. This is about humans teaching the AI. It's a process where human feedback, logic, and creativity is helping to shape the algorithms. So, what was it called before generative AI? What was this process called? Any guesses? Any guesses? Very simple. If I tell you, you'll say, oh, was it machine learning? Yeah, machine learning. Machine learning. So how do you make the machine learn? You use something to make the machine learn. Yes, Vaishal, you're right. It was coding.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was simple. It was coding basically. And we need to know, for example, as Vaishali was saying, machine learning is all about Python or C++, so, and it was a high barrier skill. People had to have a specific set of skill to teach machines. Okay. So now with generative AI, what has changed? Again, any guesses? Sorry, I'm pulling you all in. Any
Hmm.
guesses? What has changed now? So how are humans teaching the machines? Any guess? Training the data. Excellent, Sridhar. Yes, but I'm looking
Giving
for
more
even more.
prompts in AI, ChatGPT.
Yes, Rahul.
Giving more prompts in ChatGPT. That's how
Yes,
we're feeding
yes,
data.
you're getting very closer. Prompts, analytics, plain language, plain language. Rupashri, can you explain what you mean by that? You're almost there.
Uh, just the way we speak,
Oh,
give
brilliant.
it a
Yeah,
context, and then say that, okay, this is what I'm looking for, kinds.
exactly. And thank you for that. Thank you. I think that's the answer. So with generative AI, what has happened is the programming language has become English, Tamil, Telugu, or Hindi, or whatever it is, right? So
Hmm.
basically, it's all about prompt and contextual engineering. So every time a user corrects an AI output, so for example, you prompt and it gives you an answer, and then you agree, disagree, or you change it, you're teaching AI context and nuances, which is very important to understand. So what is happening here is we are moving from coding to conversing, which is fundamentally a very disruptive change in mindset. The tools also have evolved, but here the mindset aspect is very important to understand. Okay, so let's look at a few examples. So I'll talk about how Tech Mahindra is doing this. So I'm sure many of you would have heard of Project Indus. So what Project Indus does is it's about crowdsourcing, different dialects and voice samples of Indians across the country. And they're training a LLM. LLM stands for large language model. Okay, so this is, if you have this LLM, this will be able to understand India's linguistic diversity. So what is happening here? This is the fourth pathway, which is humans teaching the machine.
Hmm.
Yeah. So let's also look at one of the examples, right? Let's take IT industry itself. So since some of you are from that background, what's happening is earlier we had our developers spending most of the time writing code. But today, if you really look at what they are doing, the code is getting generated. So they have to review the code. So the junior developer role typically shifts from syntax generation to logic verification. So human in the loop, but they're doing a different job. And what they are doing, they're teaching the AI the specific architectural standards of either their internal client or external client. Okay. Yeah, so that's essentially what I had. So these are the four pathways which organizations have for learning.
Sure.
Yeah. Sorry, Yogesh, you wanted to do
Yeah,
a
good, good. I think thank you so much, Dr. Mothu. So I think there were a lot of examples that Dr. Mothu had given, but I think some of the examples that are even more experience on our day-to-day basis. Like so, for example, I
Yes.
think meeting summaries has been a very common usage us, right? But if you look at now with AI, you can actually get a lot of coaching insights, and we are not using as much in India right now, but at some point, maybe today, I think AI can help you to look at, from the conversation that is happening, that, what is some of the opportunities where there was a psychological safety issue or not many people were involved in the whole process. The meeting person hijacked the meeting. So things like that could be very beautifully done. At some point, I feel that even in India, it would happen that you would have cameras that can even recognize the facial expression and give some coaching guidance that, when was Dr. Mauthu upset or when was Uday was upset, so or when was Manu not smiling. So all that can happen even in a virtual call to know actually what's happening in the meeting. I used to be also part of the Wipro BPO leadership team, and I remember on the floor we would like really have a big team listening to support calls and analyzing them and then going back after so many days to the BPO floor and giving that. That is actually completely gone. Meaning, if you are an L&D professional, I think this is and these are like very low hanging fruits for L&D to really try this out in our own, setups. It's very, very easy. In fact, I did not mention to you guys, but we also, at Crossover, we are the channel partners of Skillsoft. And, it has got a very beautiful AI simulator, which means that you can actually play around. Various scenarios. So you could be a manager who is giving feedback to an employee, and interestingly the features are so, and not only Skillsoft, it is available in many other AI generated tools where you could actually choose the type of employee. So if somebody was very obnoxious, do you want to coach that person? So the AI will help you give a very good behavioral feedback on how you would handle that person. So although currently it is more on the way you describe it in the simulator, but very soon you could actually do the same thing live with the person. The same thing is the last part, which is, and just three examples, and I bring in a lot of Wipro experience because I was there for 15 years, and I remember we had a group within Wipro called the WMG group, which is Wipro. I think no Wipro management group or resource WRC. So it's basically managing the resource, and they would really analyze a lot of data. That how many accounts we had, challenges in the project, the delays of the project, how did it happen? They would go to the quality team to get inputs on escalations and then take a lot of time to really come up with some insights for us in the delivery team that maybe you should staff such and such people. Now today, if if you're an L&D person and you're dealing with talent, this all can be done real time. Meaning you don't have to really wait for that. In the AI can give you fantastic signals as to where you are getting stuck. And I'm just giving you, I mean, today's webinar, me and Dr. Mauthu said that will trigger a lot of thinking in your mind. And now when you go back, some of you may be already doing it, but you could do that more. Now, if you were to really look at the L&D roles and what we do on a day-to-day basis, like so, all of us, in L&D do this, skills and needs analysis. To so you go to a business user, and so if you look at the traditional way, the way we do it is we do like one-on-one interviews. We do focus group discussions. We analyze some of the business reports. We look at feedback and we look at limited, like, so we look at what people are saying in terms of the insight. This is a very common thing, yeah. Now, if you look at, how AI can help us improve, so it can dramatically speed up the analysis with a wide coverage, So I can give you, I know many of you may be using it, as I was saying in the beginning, that some of these may, but those who are not yet using it, and you can tremendously benefit from that. So, for example, recently I was meeting a new client who are into a fintech space, and I just downloaded their annual report and gave it to AI and said that in next 2 years, what do you see? They are moving in that direction, and uh, if you are not used it so far, it gave me like a fantastic insight on what are they moving in less than, I think, 6 minutes or 5 minutes. It took time to process. It also gave me a lot of global insights when I asked that, how do I compare this with, other fintech in other countries? Because the report also gave, an input that they are planning to expand in this geography. And when I said what that could mean for this customer, so imagine, my meeting was in the afternoon and I did all this groundwork just about in 20 to 25 minutes, which otherwise, I can't imagine it would not have taken me less than 2 days to do all that, besides the effort to, get all this. And it also kind of give me a very good input on what are some of the skill gaps based on the customer, the feedback which is available on the net about them as a company. And we had, and I'm telling you all this because we have got such a good group of consultants who at times would do the role competency mapping. So if there's a client who says that, yeah, we have these roles but we don't really have competencies defined, now you don't have to worry about that. So my whole analysis of the need analysis is taking a complete different turn altogether. Yeah, so the traditional approach. So when I'm meeting the senior leadership of this client, I am so prepared that I don't have to spend time in understanding their business. So directly jumped on to doing that. And it's not that, it was not there in the past, meaning we have been doing all this that you see on the left hand side, for years together. But the idea is that can I use AI, and with the generative, approach that it provides, I can go so well prepared with the organization. Yeah. So if you start looking at this, and and there are many such cases. So this is the first, I think, very very low hanging fruit for L&D to pick it up. So if you haven't started to use that, and maybe sometimes if you are within the organization, you may start then thinking about using AI of comparative to your competition, to your other similar lines of business, so that when you go to the businesses, earlier, we would still focus on the leadership topics, or we would not know as much about the business because we would only know, so for example, when I was in, when I'm again give a pro example that when I used to go to some of the business heads, some of them were very, very, people who are very, very supportive to, L&D, which means that they would give extra time to explain. Like, Tina is here from CareerNet, and I always admire this company because the amount of time the leadership gives to us is very commendable. But not every company leaders would have that. But now with AI, I don't have to worry about that. So even if I'm not getting my stakeholders giving me as much of input, I don't have to worry about that. And the benefit with this is that I am like leapfrogging my effort to know the business. And when I then go to the customer, it has a very different respect that I get from the customer, because suddenly they start to see me that, oh, I am knowing so much about their business, and you start your starting point improve. So these are first, I think, area of L&D that I think we can start using AI rapidly. The second area that I always felt is AI is really dramatically helping us is about the design and content creation. So if you look at on the left hand side, whatever we have been doing so far, so we have been like really slow in our design of an intervention, so like the slowness was in the earlier phase itself, right? We took so much of time to go and meet the customers, go 4 times, 5 times. And when we first started Crosswell Leadership, we kind of tried to reduce that time by not going to the client and asking them what are your problems. And we will do that, but we also knew, because of our experience of IT industry, many times we would go to the client and say that, okay, we know that typically in IT industry these are the 10 problems and these are solution. But now what is happening is that is also getting further fastened up, because you're not waiting any time to respond. That there was a heavy SMA dependency, meaning I would have somebody in my team who is like, so Devdutt is good at negotiation, Ravi is good at EI, and so many of my SME in my own organization. But now that dependency is no longer. There was heavy dependency earlier. If you wanted to create a video, I remember, I mean, in Wipro, we had a studio, and even to book the studio, you need to have like 2 weeks advance, and there was a videographer, and there was editing, and it was like such a long, expensive affair. And lastly, when I ran the program in my own organization, and in the first pilot batch, the you know the customer would come back and tell me, sir, I want this change in this small video and this case study. Now again, that whole cycle will start, again booking the studio. Now, if you look at AI, it's amazingly powerful. And I was, looking at couple of webinars myself before preparing this, and I saw that from a costing perspective, it's less than 1/10 of the cost of any other regular video creation effort. So SMEs, and we are not saying, and at the end of this, presentation, I've also put together a couple of roles that are evolving for L&D in the AI space. But even if, so we are not saying that any of these roles are not important, but everything is getting speeded up. So you will need SMEs, but only for review and refinement. Substantial, cost reduction in all the artifacts. So there are so many, and Dr. Muthu keeps giving us a lot of ideas. So there are now free tools available which you can actually just give your presentation deck, and it can prepare videos, it can prepare quizzes, it can prepare any of the follow-on assessments, which earlier was impossible, meaning you would get either rejected because you didn't have enough cost to bear that, or it took so long that by the time it was ready, the requirements had changed. Which means the last point which comes is that you are able to scale and personalize even if there are changes happening that way. So you can see that. So I'll take a pause here. Maybe anybody would like to share anything that you guys are doing so that we all benefit as a group, that in your own organization, any tools that you're using, or, in this space of content creation, which I think is a top, use case for AI today, actually. So anybody would like to share? I can see some chat. Okay. Or chat did something else. So anybody else using any tools? Yeah. Anybody who would like to? Yeah, yeah, Radha, please.
Sorry, I can't come on screen currently,
Yeah,
but
no worries, no worries. Yes.
not exactly in content creation, but I'm preparing learning pathways for my organization. For Career Framework Pathways, the initiative name. So where we are taking the JDs and we are describing the role and behavioral skills on the basis of bars. After we finish everything, then I have to prepare learning pathways. What are the required skills and what are expected from them, role based and behavioral based. So
Very
once
nice.
for this all, it is an immense, how much task it is to create for entire organization. So
Yes,
it's very simply made for each role. I take a set of roles which are in connection, like from associate scientist to principal scientist. There are
perfect.
4 steps. I give only 3-4 roles in a connection. I don't go too much. So
Right.
when I do this, it is very easy for me. I just put everything, but I don't give at a time, just to make save that confirm that it is everything is perfect or not. So
Yes,
first I take the technical skills required, then I take the
yes,
functional skills required, then I go for that. And I'm
yes.
using Copilot for this, and it's creating very beautiful learning pathways and alternate career paths that I have
Lovely,
in
lovely.
organization.
Very nice.
So this is
Brilliant,
what I'm
brilliant.
doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Radha. Thank you, Radha. Very, very inspiring. Yeah. Professor Sandeep, you also want to share something? Yeah.
Yeah, so I use Fireflies as a note-taking tool for my conversations with clients.
Sure.
That way, I'm able to devote 100% attention to the conversation rather than trying to write at the same time.
Yes.
And
Yes.
Fireflies gives a beautiful three-step way of action points, meeting summary,
Yeah.
entire transcript. So I can go to any level of detail as needed, leaving me free to focus on the client.
Lovely.
The
Lovely.
second tool I use is I use Gemini to create custom images.
Hmm.
So recently I had put out a post on LinkedIn about hiring. Get your
Hmm.
hiring right. So I put two pictures. One was of Superman, and I made Superman with white hair. And on the other side, I put the picture of a Joker. So I wrote at the bottom of Superman, your job description wanted this, but instead you ended up hiring, and I wrote that under the Joker. And I put
Yes.
that picture as a LinkedIn post.
Yes. Yes.
So different ways in which we can use AI, and I also
Yes.
use Perplexity to create situational scenarios that I use in my workshops
Very nice. Very
because
nice.
I'm a big believer of situation rather than just Gyan.
Lovely.
So
Lovely.
Perplexity can generate wonderful situational case studies. So these are a few examples from my side.
Very nice. Very nice. Super.
Very
Super.
good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let
Very
me just
nice. Very.
add to
Very.
it, Yogesh. Just one point I wanted to
Yes.
share with Professor Sandeep. I think this is brilliant, Firefly and the way in which you're spinning up, interesting images, right?
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
sure you're also using Notebook LM.
Yes.
Same, Firefly transcript, if you could just take or audio and
Yes.
put it in Notebook LM, you can get an infographic of the entire conversation. You can
Yes.
spin that up into a PPT, or you can
PPT,
spin
right.
that up into a audio which you can actually listen to as a
Yes.
summary when you're driving. Many possibilities. The tools are evolving again
Yes.
at warp speed, but it's all about how, you need to know in what context learning can happen for me.
Yes. Yes.
And the tools are there to support us all the time. Thank you,
Very nice.
Professor.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Sandeep Radha. Thank you, Dr. Mothu.
Yeah,
And
thank
this one is a big one for AI. So if you look at, I think both sides I've just posted because we are at 5:15. I want to make sure that we cover all the aspects. So, I'm like, I've been in this space for long, and I always had this issue of, the facilitator bandwidth, meaning you really had only a few people in your organization who can, deliver those session. And the knowledge was really central to the facilitator, so you really could almost label them saying that, oh, this guy is an expert in this topic, this guy is an expert in this topic. And suppose there was a demand from a couple of business unit for the same topic, we had just a tough time to deliver to our clients. And sometimes, although they were great in their topic, but assuming that as our organization expanded in different geographies, they started to lack global perspective. And I think learning was based on an event at times. It was saying that I think when the facilitator comes in the program, that whole thing would happen. But when you look at AI in L&D for facilitation, it's almost like a shared facilitator load, which means that the participant could go and do some amount of groundwork with AI and then come back and have value clarification.
Hmm.
No longer the knowledge is with the facilitator, as it is almost like democratization of knowledge, meaning anybody has got that knowledge in a very structured manner. So it was not there all along. We had Google for so many years, but it was not conversational, meaning there was no conversation. So if you search on a topic, it will give you like 15 links, but what do you do with that? Here you are basically doing that part. You're getting the AI to respond to the kind of questions you're giving. And the very nature of AI is global, meaning, when you work with AI, the nature itself, meaning it's born with that global mindset, and learning starts much before the event. Now, for us, I think this is giving us amazing bandwidth in the organization, which means that you're no longer dependent on just few set of people, but the same set of people can do multiple things. So imagine, today if you're doing, say, 10 topics with 5 facilitators in a month, you could actually just triple, because you don't need so many hours of the facilitator coming together. So, and this deck, we will share it with all of you. So you can take some time to think about each of these topics. So when you go back and see for your own organization, that in my organization, what is the current facilitation status, meaning how many I have and what am I doing right now? Am I still continuing to run the program the way it is, or am I using AI as a co-facilitator? Am I sharing my load with the AI? Am I giving some amount of learning even before it started? So while we did give some blend this, we had this flipped classroom model, right? We had sent some of the material to the participant and then they come back and talk in the class, but that was still very static, which means you have sent the material which itself was very sometime outdated. So here what you're doing is you don't have to even send anything. You only have to put a structure around where they will go and talk to them and do that part. So this is the second part. So we looked at the skills and needs analysis. We looked at the AI enabled facilitation. The third is like fairly a task that is, and here is one distinction that I want to make here is that many times we, mistaken automation with AI. So automation is still very static, which means that that this is the particular outcome that you want and you're just automating that part. But AI is not like that. AI will actually provides, I mean, when Dr. Muthu and we do programs for our clients, we actually create agents that can actually go in lot of this stuff that you're seeing here. So this is not like a very great issue in most L&D, but I just also wanted to highlight this for all of you that this is also one very big area that you can so if you are having pressure of not having as many headcount in the operations and learning area, you would actually think about all these areas, and once you even ask AI itself to ask give you recommendation, you'll get so many ideas that you could do to improve that part. And then we look at the
I,
last part here.
sorry,
Yeah, please. Yeah,
on the earlier slide, I have a point to make. If
yes, yes,
I'm also cognizant of the time, but I
yes,
thought this was required. So if you look at learning ops and performance support, right, typically,
yes,
so we always, as part of L&D, we treated learning as a destination. We asked our people to leave their desks, leave their work, and go to a classroom or visit a portal. We measured our success by how many people arrived at that destination, right? But in the current generative AI world, that is completely destroyed. That model doesn't, hold any water anymore. Learning is more like electricity. Okay, I'll just expand on that. Learning is no longer a place you go to. It is the infrastructure of the work itself. It is your work stream. Okay, the reason why it is like electricity is you don't go to a specific room to find it. It's available at every socket, powering every tool we touch. That's very important for us to understand. And so what I'll also take one example and talk about it, right? So why do we say move away from portals where employees go to find answers and move toward a learning system? So normally what happens is before generative AI, the employee, if they are stuck with a particular learning stream, they go to the LMS and search for a how-to guide. And this is typically built in such a way that it has got a lot of friction and it doesn't help increase productivity. In the current generative AI world, what happens is if you have the right tools, for example, to monitor, we call it as a digital exhaust, right? It monitors your emails, your codes, your CRM entries. I'm not talking of privacy for the moment, but typically, in an organization, all of that is done. So automatically the AI agent will be able to detect the struggle which is going on. For example, there is a unwanted pause or repeatedly, there is an error when the person is learning. So it can dynamically, push a hint. It can send a cheat sheet into the workflow while the person is learning. This is very, very powerful. So we are all shifting from building destinations to building triggers. Yeah,
yes.
thank you.
Very nice, super, so very nice. Yeah. And I think last part, I think traditionally we have been like focusing on completions, we are focusing on limited insight from our surveys. But here, I think when you look at our L&D intervention, we can start like really, with very less time. The detection of how our skills are getting transferred. Are we seeing the performance, and also the last part. While not in many cases, but there have been cases where I think the LND has been, showing certain performance, which actually was not the reality. And AI can in some form also helps you to develop this accuracy and ethics. So many things, and you can, when you look at all this that we have covered here today and bring it all together, you will start seeing that the bandwidth that you would save from creating content so faster, making AI as your co-facilitator, you will be able to get a lot of time for doing this part. And as we start doing this part, you will start seeing that there are a lot of new roles that will emerge. So if you look at the roles of a AI, say learning designer, a prompt architect, simulation designer, and learning analyst. So AI learning designer, essentially, comes in the intersection of all this, the business challenge, the AI tools, and they're like designing the whole journey for the learner. Prompt architect, although we think that whatever we are prompting in our regular day-to-day use is not enough. I think the architect really learns this whole because AI will respond the way you are talking to AI. So there is a certain skill that prompt architect can bring in. In fact, in our course of Tiny Magic, we have prompt engineering as one of the very important topics. The third is the simulation designer. Now, the difference between the simulation designer and the learning designer is that while the AI learning designer is creating the complete journey, whereas the simulation designer is creating simulation that is very real life, which people, participant can experience using AI. So the Skillsoft Casey that I was talking about has got amazing simulation. And last is the learning analyst, which is basically it is analyzing using AI tools that whatever we had envisaged, is we are we getting the result, so which earlier possibly was not possible because of, I mean, the data, because of the way time we had consumed on other areas. So these are some of the new roles that are getting evolved. And for us at LND, I think the sooner we kind of pay our attention to these roles, the more successful we can be. And you can go in details on these roles, on what is required. But these are the four roles I thought are shaping up as we move into this, AI for LND area. And so the future of LN, I mean human, and this is like the second last slide here, where we talk about, many times people just think that, will AI completely take over everything, but that's not the reality. I think LND with AI and human strength can be very powerful because I think the context is very important for AI to even give you the response. So first part is that part. Secondly, I don't know if you have heard about this coaching app called Nadia, which comes along with Microsoft Suite, and it's amazingly used at McKinsey across the organization. But what they are realizing is that, say, assuming that I am coaching Uday, in say Bangalore, for example, we are meeting there. And if Nadia was to be there in place of Yogesh, Nadia will only respond to whatever Uday is giving in the prompt to Nadia. But when I look at Uday and when I look at the facial expression and when he looks at me and we are having a conversation, there is some more additional conversation that Nadia can't recognize right now. It may come up when there would be cameras who would look at Uday, and I don't know whether the human to human emotion would that be able to be replicated. So that will still be with human. Yeah, so you will have that part. The culture of the organization, which means that, ultimately when I'm having this coaching as a starting point and I'm having this human to human conversation, will still continue to be with our hands, with the LND. And last is the final judgment. So we were one of our clients where we were trying to do this AI implementation, and they have an agent, and it was a very interesting example where the agent was doing an interview, and the agent asked the candidate that, tell me about some interesting project, and he spoke about his daughter's room getting renovated. And the AI agent said, great job, it was a great project. Now it has no context
Exactly.
about that role that he was interviewing. So there will be times where the context, the judgment will miss on the AI part. But that is where I think we will be there. So if you
I
look
okay.
at, yeah,
Sorry, okay, I have one more point. I couldn't
yeah,
Okay, so if on the contextual judgment part, right, AI
Yeah.
can give all the answers, under the sun, but
Yeah.
it will never know office politics.
Yes.
It
Yes.
will never know the hidden tension in the room. Okay,
Yes.
so
Yes.
those are all things where the human strength is required. It
Yes.
doesn't know empathetic coaching. It doesn't
Yes.
care. Okay,
Yes.
so we as humans, we provide the psychological safety. It's very important for us to understand. We can say yes, everything, for everything it's AI.
Yes.
It's
Yes. Yes.
not.
Yeah, no,
And then,
absolutely.
yeah, and then also there is also ethical curation, right? So
Yes.
AI doesn't have any moral compass.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, absolutely. I mean, that are some of the areas. So don't get worried about AI taking over
Yeah,
our
yeah,
jobs. I think it's just that we have to become AI architect. We have to learn prompting. We have to become
exactly.
designers.
Yeah,
And then finally, I think we are saying that I think last, I mean, AI really expands our learning into daily work. And I can see that a lot of us are doing that. So LND will guide, curate, and interpret, what is required. And then last is very powerful, which is human and AI together will give us that capability confidence, which definitely will be there. And I know I did Rajdhani at the end because I wanted to really cover all the point. But next month, we will have a team of people coming from Tiny Magic to demonstrate a live AI lab, so we will do some content creation, we'll create some simulation, we'll show you something live that you can go back and take. I don't know which tool we will use, but you can, when I send you this deck, these are some of the recommendations of the tools on AI. So when you're looking at skills and needs analysis, you can look at some of these things like Gloat, or if you're content creation, you can look at, some of these areas, AI enabled facilitation, learning operations. So you can use this, any of this, and this is not just limited. You can go and look at more also, but we just wanted to give some options from our side that you can practice, so that all that we covered step by step, starting from the needs analysis to content creation to facilitation to performance support to measurement, you can start in your own ways, these tools, how they can help and start shaping your L&D stuff. Yeah, so we are at 5:28 and really mindful of the time. So
yeah. Is it,
we just hope you like,
am I
yeah.
allowed to do a closing thought?
Please, please, yeah. I mean, or we can
And
ask
then
people if
we
they have,
also have a Q&A. Okay,
yeah,
so the thought which I wanted to leave with everybody is in the sense, the old model, the pre-Gen AI model, is more like running a bus service.
yes,
It's all about fixed routes and fixed stops. Everyone gets on at a particular time and it takes you to a particular place. It's like,
yes,
you do the annual review and then you plan what to do. But in
yes,
the new world, it's like running a Uber. It's on demand, it's data driven, it's
yeah,
absolutely hyper personalized and takes the user exactly where they need to go right now.
yeah,
So all of us are becoming managers of the platform and the quality of the journey. And we are
yeah,
not going to be driving every single car.
yes,
And
yes.
that's the responsibility of the user.
Yes, yes,
Thank you
absolutely.
once again,
Yeah,
Abhishek.
very nice. And I think L&D plays a very important role because I think the organization is looking at us. Always they had great respect for us. We are like more than normal human beings. So please be ready for the new journey that we have already embarked on it. But continue to do that. And Dr. Mathus is please connect with him on LinkedIn. You can also let us know if you want to really try something, in your organization, wherever you are, and more than happy to have the conversation. So next month we'll try and do something hands-on, so you can actually see live. So we will, like this time we did a survey. We'll also ask if you have any specific use case that you want to, try this out. But otherwise, any other questions before we close for today for Dr. Mothu or myself? Yeah. Yeah, Mrunal or any Mrunali or
It's a great
Hi,
audience.
Yogesh sir.
yeah, yeah.
Sorry, can you
Yeah,
hear
please,
me?
please, Dipti. Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, I won't be able to come on line, but I just wanted to say the session is so enriching
Yeah.
because we talk so much about AI, in everyday work, and just to see that what are the possibility itself is a biggest deal. And I always believe that we all work and function in a particular manner, right? We have our own neural pathways that's already defined to
Yeah.
work certain way. But when you see a possibility, for example, about Notebook LM, the
Yes.
possibility, I am using Notebook LM, but
Perfect.
using Firefly tool and then working on a video and then sharing is something which goes way beyond than what I had even thought. So
Yes.
when a group of people, collective mindset, come with different thought process, and the
Yeah.
synergy, possibility of synergy is amazing. So
Yes.
I
Yes.
really wanted to thank you because I love learning, reading, and really enrich myself in updating different technologies. So this was an insightful session.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I do not have a question as such, but as you rightly said, I think the upcoming session, you wanted to take us through the practical application of it.
Yes.
I think that is where my biggest question is, because everybody talks about how do we use AI,
Yes.
but how can we use it? The application, the practical aspect is something which I really am keen to learn
Yes.
from such esteemed people like you. So it is such an enriching thing. So I'm quite excited for upcoming sessions just to
Yes,
see
yes.
what are the
Because
possibilities.
also what we wanted to put it together is, see, while LND has got so many functions, but how do you really think about putting AI in the whole journey? So I
Yeah,
think it
yeah.
has to go step by step. So you,
Yeah, we start from
you,
need
yeah,
analysis. We have how can we really use and maximize it?
yes,
We
yes,
start
yes,
from content creation because each of us, like for example, I was listening to Radha. She was saying, "How can I really use this as to my
yes,
advantage for creating a career pathway?" So
yes,
when we start exploring, what kind of prompts do we really look at? How do we
yes,
create
yes,
an appropriate prompt, and what are the
yes,
different possibilities? So the
yes,
entire structure of end-to-end L&D, like starting from meet still, delivery and execution and uh, feedback evaluation. So I think that is where is it's so interesting. How can we fit in AI in these different areas, and
yes,
how can we take it to our best of our advantages, right?
yes,
So
yes,
that's where I am most keen on. So if something on those regards, I'm really excited to see how
sure,
this is
sure.
going to go in
Yeah,
upcoming days. But
thank you
very
so much.
pleasure connecting with to both of you. It
Yes,
was
yes.
such an
Sure, sure.
insight.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so we look forward to having you again next month with the live session. But when you and those who have joined the Leadership Chaska group on the WhatsApp group, we'll also be posting some more, details. So do join the group. And
Sure, sure.
also, if you have, and we'll give you this presentation so you can, in a systematic manner, try it out and then share it on the WhatsApp group. How have you been trying it? So that as a group we can
Yeah.
collectively, learn from each other type.
I love that idea. Please do share any material because I've been asking a lot of people.
Yeah.
We need prompts,
Yes.
the
Yes.
powerful prompts. It's not like, hey, ChatGPT, please give me this. No, that's not the
Yes.
case. How
Yes.
can we really create a powerful prompt and
Yes.
create
Yes.
a repository of prompts, right?
Yes.
We have a document wherein, okay, for content creation, I have this powerful tool and make
Yes.
all that. So I'm quite excited to see how this
Yeah.
is going to go.
Yes.
Anything is
Yes.
always welcome. Thank you
Lovely.
so much.
Lovely. Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. Perfect. So I'm going to just put. I think it is. I think it is there on the chat if you want to just look at how to join. So just take a look at. I think it is there on the.
I've just shared the link in the
Yeah.
chat.
Yeah. If you can share the link, Deepika, so people
Yeah,
can
I've
just.
already shared.
Joined it.
Yeah, yeah, Deepti, you
Yeah,
can.
one more time you can share that, so you all can be there. Yeah. So thank you so much. And then I look forward to me and Dr. Motu look forward to seeing you next month.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Can
now,
I?
yeah, Mrinali, yeah, please.
Yeah. Sir, I'm Krishna. Me and my colleague Murali jointly attended this training.
Yes, yes,
Actually, I have I'm very curious and have that I wanted to learn new things in like technology because today's scenario, technology is mandatory to learn, right, for everything. So there are multiple aspects I find, like diff checker is there for the differentiation, to understand the differentiation between two documents, similar
Yeah.
document, just minor difference if you want, the diff checker is there. Then for presentation as well, I am using notebook, and there are multiple other object I'm using for AI. So I'm merely curious to attend the next session. I just
Yeah.
wanted to know if you can cover related to some HR and admin concept
Hmm.
related to AI, which help us in developing good strategies in HR.
It's a, I mean,
If
HR
some
strategy.
content relevant to the same, if in the next session you can cover the same, which help us.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. Sure, sure. So I think we'll discuss, and we'll also roll out the survey to all of you, so you can also share that in that. So we'll pick it up, not a problem.
sure, sir, sure.
But you're asking HR strategy is a dangerous topic to pick
No,
up.
no, no. What to implement, how to
Yeah,
control those iterations, and there are
yeah.
multiple other
I know.
aspect, right?
I can
So which
understand.
AI
Yeah.
can help us to
Yes.
identify and to
Yes.
rectify the
Yes.
same.
No
So
worries.
if
No
any
worries.
of the, matlab, this is the basic agenda which we are aware, like Chat GPT and
Got it.
everything.
Got
But
it.
for
Got it.
particularly HR, some AI tool will be there. Then definitely it will help us.
Sure, sure, sure. No problem. No. See, actually, once we show you the practical way of creating any of the agent, then I think it doesn't matter which domain you're using it. The idea
Yes.
is to use that from that way. Yeah. It doesn't matter. Yeah. So good. Thank you so much. And I'll just
Yes.
turn off the recording now so we
Yes.
can have some conversation. उदय के साथ भी बात कर सकते हैं और सबके साथ प्रोफेसर yeah. So we are here for another 10 minutes in case you want to, anybody wants to stay back and have any questions with Dr. Mothu or
Good idea.
उदय कुछ पूछना है तो पूछ लो डॉक्टर मोथू से.
No, I think it was a very interesting session. And I think, as we start to know about these tools,
Yes.
and as you rightly said at the beginning, that what I'm presenting right now and what it would be after like a month's time, things are evolving so fast, and
Yes.
every day we are seeing new tools coming up.
Yes.
I think it
Yes.
would be interesting to see how things are evolving in this
Yes. Yes.
field of AI and
Yes.
L&D,
Yes.
because things are changing very, very fast, right?
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
and with that, we are also seeing, how human intelligence is important as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
AI is important, but I think how human intelligence is absolutely needed so as to make that judgment
Yes.
is also becoming very, very critical. And
Yes. Yes.
how ethical, how can we really trust the data? Because you ask for a question and it has an answer, but
Yes.
how to really trust what the answer is exactly correct or not? I
Yes.
think that is something which I am grappling with at the moment, because
Awesome.
it will have an answer, but not necessarily that's the right answer. So there's a lot of hallucination which is happening.
Correct.
Yes. Yes.
So, there has to be someone to really make sure that it is correct and authentic and
Yes.
coming from a reliable source of
Yes.
information. So
Yes. Yes.
there's a
Yes.
lot of ambiguity at the moment, though it is
Yes.
evolving.
Yes. No, no, absolutely.